Welcome back to another size 11 review. We're going into sports, college football, and if you're wondering if the Big 12 commissioner made the right decision to pretty much stand his ground in regards to not making changes to the college football playoffs for the next season. The reason why that's very important is because, for once, there's always been some form of pecking order in relation to the top paid conferences would end up making rules potentially, and then the other conferences would agree just because they felt that it was in everybody's best interest. But recently, it's been exposed that in doing this has only been in the interest of the top paid conferences. And so we could say that the other conferences have woke up, okay? Have gained conscience of what was really going on. It took a lot of time, a lot of details, and then the results were proven to be not in the benefit of conferences like the Big 12 and the ACC. So now that they are aware of this, right, they do have a seat at the table, okay? And it's very important that they make sure that they are not only being accommodated, but also are able to make sure that their conference is also benefiting from whatever changes there may be now and moving forward. So what Brett Yormark did was exactly what a good commissioner does. It's no different from what Greg Sankey would do, or Tony Petitti, or any other conference commissioner. So for him to not make a decision that would put the conference at a disadvantage by eliminating themselves, like when you look at it hindsight and when you look at it for 2020 vision, you can clearly see that that would not make sense if they was to agree and say, hey, yes, I'll willingly cut my conference out of $8 million and just give it to you guys. And then just think if they would agree. The other conferences will look at this like, oh, they don't even care about their own conference future, so we could do whatever. But that's not the case. So with that being said, Brett Yormark made the right decision, and moving forward, this should always be a stance that he should take, the ACC commissioners should take. I don't know why we keep including the group of 5 commissioners, but in this sense, clearly there's 2 conferences that is at a disadvantage, and they have to deal with these disadvantages and manage things to where it will benefit their conference. And with that being said, for Brett to not agree to eliminate the conference champion automatic bye is a smart move, the right move, and it lets ESPN know, and it lets the other conferences know that no, you can't just bully the Big 12 around. You can't just push them around, and that you have to be pretty much at a level playing field. And not to mention, when we look at the reasons why, we can clearly point out a couple of things. One is that, okay, the SEC is no longer a dominant conference in college football. And the way the landscape has changed, even Nick Saban has admitted it and said it, that he already know that the old way of college football is done. With the new change, that there's polarity across the board, it's going to be difficult to win. So there's no need to give over what you have established and work hard for to another conference just because they say. That is manipulation. That is, of course, hypothetical talk based off of some status or some pretense or false notion that we are the better conferences when clearly that's not proven on the field. Right now, the Big Ten is the one that is now flourishing as a dominant conference, but anything can change any year. And we know the Big 12 is always knocking at the door, but they are always either getting cheated by refs or there's somebody that's doing something under the table to where it's not giving them a fair playing field. And I would definitely make the decision that Brett Yormark made with not eliminating the conference champion game, because his conference benefited. Arizona State clearly was a better team than Texas. They would have made it to the Final Four and would have been playing against Ohio State. Okay. And we know that the Big 12 is solid and it has good football programs. So why would you put your conference at a disadvantage even more so by eliminate the conference champion? Automatic bye. Now, looking beyond next year, okay, into the new playoff deal, as I mentioned, whatever the Big Ten or the SEC gets on paper, so should the Big 12 and the ACC get on paper, because it's polarity. We're playing all in the same league and you have a seat at the table. Why would you not make things right for your conference? Why would you not make sure that you're able to produce something that will benefit your conference? And as I mentioned before in previous video, that in order to win a conference champion, that takes a lot of work to win. Okay. So I don't understand why you would want to punish a conference champion by saying that they shouldn't get the bye when they have already proven themselves throughout the season to get a bye. Let's look at it like this. If you're playing in the NFC, right, in the AFC, in the NFL, and you have divisional champions is what they would be called, right? So if you have a divisional champion from your pod that has the best record and have won, and then they end up competing and getting to a championship, and then they end up winning, what do they get rewarded with? They get rewarded with two things: a bye in the first round of the playoffs, as well as a home game. So not only, as we move forward, not only should the conference champion get a bye, but they also should get a home game. So they should get a bye in a home game to play that game. It should not be played at a neutral site, and should not be played away. So with that being said, that should also be added moving forward after the next year expires, that they should have a home field advantage to conference champion, and they should be rewarded because of all the hard work that they've done throughout the season. And the record proves that. Not only it helped vet the better teams for the conference with the playoff selection committee. Okay. So the conference champion should be elevated over all the rest who didn't play in a conference champion, who didn't have the better records. Okay. It only makes sense. Okay. So with that being said, now far as seeding, the seeding should be done better. And this is why I say the rankings make no sense when you do it this way, because how could you have teams that didn't win a conference champion or didn't have a better record seated above those who have won their conference champion? Okay. And you're looking at all these metrics to make that determination. Well, 1, 2, and 3, 4, conference champion, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is runner up. Okay. Now, if you look at teams that also went to a conference champion and lost, they should also be in the mix for 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 more spots into the playoffs, and they can be seeded wherever. There's 8 teams, and then the other 4 would come from whatever other metric that's used to select those. But far as 1 through 12, the top ranked 1 through 12 teams, and they haven't won a conference champion. Like, that makes no sense. Think about it. You have ranked teams from 1 all the way down to 12, and most likely most of them teams is not making it to their conference champion. Do you understand that? They are not even good enough to make it to a conference champion, right? Because you got to be the better team, the better record to get to a conference champion. So how could you have a team that has not been selected for that to be ranked number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? And that's why I said that it doesn't make sense for a conference for rankings, when clearly that's being done by an outside source. Now, you can have power rankings. The NFL has power rankings, meaning these teams are solid and strong, but it still doesn't, that's hypothetical stuff. It still don't determine what type of team they is until they play other teams. And that's what determine what type of team they is with the win-loss record. This is what I was establishing earlier in previous videos. Now I'm explaining it. Okay. You could be glorified and ranked hypothetically by whoever, your peers, all you want, but that doesn't matter when it comes down to when you playing on the field and you win. That's what determines what it is. And that's why ranking, okay, means nothing, okay, in college football until you win on the field, okay, and loss. So the rankings could be there just for as a reference, hey, we have these teams ranked as the best teams for this year in this order. But what good is that if they get on the field and then they lose to another team? See what I'm saying? That makes no sense. That's why the rankings screw up everything. It should be based off a win or loss, conference champion, get in line with the NFL format, and everything will work out. Once again, Brett Yormark made the right decision with drawing a line in the sand on what it is and what is not going to happen with his conference, far as it, as it relates to making changes that would be an adverse reaction to his conference and the programs that are coming up out of that pipeline. As a matter of fact, they are a 3-bid, as I mentioned, conference. They have 16 members. They are clearly a 3-bid conference, period. Once again, thank y'all for watching. Till next time, have a great day.